MTY Group. So we franchise and operate restaurants. We have about 7,100 restaurants that, again, are kind of under the franchise model or the kind of corporate store operating model, which is those 7,000 plus restaurants. It covers about 90 brands. We are worldwide. The bulk of our business is in the US and in Canada. MTY over time, I guess, we've grown over the years for sure. It's a lot of organic growth for us, but it's also, we've kind of grown through acquisitions. So with acquisitions, we have expanded the company, therefore, expanded kind of accounting systems and payroll systems, which I kind of touch on in a little bit. So we began working with Simplify about 2 years ago. So we've gone through 2 budget cycles. The scope of our project was coming from using Excel, and now we're utilizing the Simplify application, which has been great, honestly. So we kind of utilize the P&L side of it, and then also the workforce side of it to kind of combine it all. The PlaniFi application really has allowed us to budget people in costs, in detail, I guess, all those detailed costs that come with people. And then we ultimately are able to get it and move it to the P&L. So a lot of the things that Simplify helped us with is we more or less used the application. We did tweak some things, some minor adjustments to fit our organization. But some of the great things about it is, there's a global input screen that we use that, allows us to, we have ultimately 5 different divisions as it stands today and how we're budgeting in terms of people in the workforce. But the global inputs allow you to kind of do global assumptions for your entire portfolio of people, I guess. So kind of as listed there, merits and taxes and insurance and attrition, we have some differing fiscal periods. So, global inputs that you can put in once and it floats to the whole system. We had templates that were created, that help us kind of manage different pieces of the business, templates that were new hire related or full, just the full employee roster, employee costs, in detail by month, and allocations, within our organization, and ultimately reporting from the HR module into the P&L module. And then, like I said, we've gone through two budget cycles now. This last year, we had kind of gone through an enhancement version, which we ultimately, increased the flexibility and the efficiency of some of our data that we work on. So, the process, like I said, we've gone through 2 processes, 2 budget cycles, I guess, both successful. I would say we wouldn't budget in any other way than budgeting by employee when you look at it from that aspect. But it does add complexities. Ultimately, my view is as soon as you've loaded the payroll data, it's changing, right? There's people on the move, for any organization, for our organization, working with restaurants, there's just a lot of movement of people, and one of the things that was crucial for our success, which again was very much, teed up well and nicely from Simplify, is just testing and validating your data. You go through the whole process, you work through all the details, but at the end of the day, testing and validating, that's really what makes it successful. So, and so we spent a lot of time on that. Having a strong team, to me, this is, if I had one slide, this is my slide. So having the strong team, again, working with the workforce side of it, and our process was, it's still all Excel driven and Excel uploads ultimately from myself and my team. But when you get into compensation items, that's a lot of confidential information. So there's not a lot of people that have access to that. And so, for us, there's limited access. So to me, it's just having a strong team, and the strong team is working, it's the HR and it's the finance side. So I think, as I referenced earlier, we ultimately have 5 different payroll systems across the whole organization. Again, a lot of that's driven from some of our acquisitions over the years. And so, I needed 5 HR leads, 1 for each one. I needed 5 finance leads, that could match each of those HR leads. So our team was small, but everybody knew what they were doing. They had access to the, this, again, confidential information. And then that helped to launch this tool successfully, budget successfully, and be able to, speak to it knowledgeably as you move through the process. So it's definitely a partnership between HR and finance. So from the HR side, from our standpoint, we the way that we use the workforce planning is we used it for about 1,500 of our employees. So we have a lot more employees than that, but a lot of them are in our restaurants, and we're not budgeting by person there. So, our scope or our roster was kind of based on mostly who's in our head office. And, we budgeted those wages, those bonuses, those taxes, the benefits, all the things that come with people. The HR team, one of the things that I would say is outside of having the strong team, we kind of leveraged our HR team during the budget process, and our fiscal year ends in November, which means our new year starts in December. With that said, we kind of started our budget process in, August. So during that August to, October timeframe, I'm kind of asking a lot of our human resource teams, because that third bullet there, they're managing the people in the actual payroll system. They're dealing with real things today. Not that budgets aren't real, but you're planning for the future there. But I had a great team that was able to do their day job, and then on top of that, be able to work with the budget, talk to our budget owners, validate that the data is accurate, and ultimately update this PlaniFi tool as we went through the process. So some of the pieces that they had to manage was the new hires, or things of open and replacement positions, or wish lists is what we call them, or like a budget add, additional headcount for a future year was kind of that wish list naming. We found it to be best practice within our organization, and I would say we didn't get to this until year 2, but the best practice was to budget by employee name. Like I said earlier, 2 years in now, we're not feeding this from any automated system. We're uploading it from an Excel file, which, that adds our own complexities, which worked, but it worked fine for us because we were able to control the flow of information. That said, as soon as, you load up a roster, people leave the company or whatever. But ultimately, what we found is that from my standpoint, for finance, sometimes I just want to solve for the dollar. And that was kind of year 1. And that's why I say year 2, our best practice was to say, okay, let's actually budget by employee. If I'm an employee with the organization and now I'm leaving right in the budget process, well, let's terminate Paul in the system, or clear out what he is and what he's bringing for the next year's budget, and let's replace him, with a Henner or with an Eric, and let's replace him with a name, where we can. So that's something that we learned internally as we got to year 2. But it helps a lot for the HR team when they are doing that validation with our budget owners to actually use people that are employed by the organization at that moment in time and kind of doing that validation. From my side, or the finance side, again, we worked very closely with those HR teams, but we did a lot of the kind of the data validation. We're making sure that calculations are working, whether it be taxes, benefits, all the stuff, again, that goes into a budget related to people. And then we, in addition to the HR team, we help to report to those budget owners, again, they're people, here's who you have, here's how much they're costing you, here's all the buckets of costs. So all that said, that's all the detailed work, that's all the people in the organization. Well, now I need to get it to the P&L, and I can't put 1,500 or so names on a P&L. One, I don't know that is appropriate to do that. It's all confidential information, right? So now I'm taking all these costs that we've divvied up by month and by all these different segments, and now I need to just push the dollars to the P&L. So we take all of the buckets of, again, these employee costs, and we kind of boil them down into 3 GLs, which was this was one of our enhancements, again, that Simplify helped us this last year to really improve on, because the first year I think we only did 2 or 3, but ultimately, we're taking the buckets and we're saying, well, let's budget by salaries, bonus, taxes, benefits, and then attrition. So that, that's how we kind of take the details, and we're shoving them into these 5 different GLs in terms of a budgeted dollar amount. And then a big piece, again, a huge enhancement that we did this last year, which again was very much supported by Simplify and helped us work through it, was the validation of the detailed employee roster to the P&L. Again, there's all these people, and we're boiling it down to the dollars. So we had a huge improvement into year 2 on being able to do that validation, which was great. And then one of the complexities that our company does, and I'm sure it happens at other organizations, is just we do allocate employees to different divisions or different brands or departments. We do, like I said earlier, we have 90 brands. So sometimes a person works on more than one brand. So, in my little example there, someone might be 90%, kind of allocated to one brand, and then they share 5% of their time and 5% of their time to two other brands. So, it adds complexities to, again, take the one person, divvy it up by all the buckets of labor, or sorry, wages and bonus and all those other items that we talked about. And then now I kind of have to replicate that 3 times, because now I need a salary number for the 95%er, 90% brand, and then I need a salary for the 5%, just another salary for the 5%. So it just, it adds more, but again, we had a great bridge on the reporting and the validation, so which is great. So yeah, so the process, we continue on. After our go live, we definitely found minor things, and some things, we would just decide internally and with Simplify's help, do we make the change? Can we make the change kind of as we're live, or do we want to wait till next year? More times than not, we're able to make the change, on the fly, again, with some testing, people's availability, but we made it happen. Simplify made it happen. They very much made themselves available to us. We tried not to be too needy. So, and then there's always, kind of an ongoing approach on enhancing the system, doing more. So, we've created additional screens, or we've additional reports, or, we've added more things that we want to do for enhancements for year 3. So we just kind of keep going and keep tweaking the tool, but it's been good for us. And I think that is just, the internal review or the internal kind of feedback it really has been great. Again, we came from Excel just a few years back. That's a lot to work through. So, implementing this tool, a lot of team members on our team put a lot of effort and time into it. But there's been a lot of great feedback over the last couple of years, on both the P&L side, but also the workforce side. It's enhanced our budget process. And yeah, I mean, honestly, that's it. These are my takeaways. I try to hit on them for sure. Having that strong team is crucial in testing and validating your data. And Simplify has made it pretty efficient for us. So it's been a good. They've been a great partner for us. So we've appreciated that.